Hello everyone, I am Crawlers and I thought I'd make a tutorial about aiming in the helicopter, specifically the Scout helicopter. I already put out a Scout helicopter laser tutorial in September, I think, after DICE patched the laser, giving it to the co-pilot. And although the function of the laser has been there for months now, no one still seems to use it or even know that it's there. Now, I was always big on Scout helicopters, so I had more than enough points on it even before the patch, so I didn't even notice that the laser was an unlock. As it is, it unlocks at 40,000 points for the Scout helicopter. Well, a few days ago, I threw the video up on Reddit, and it peaked at number 6 on the Battlefield front page, and got a ton of comments like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. So, uh, I was watching another dude Scout helicopter massacre yesterday on YouTube, and one of the comments caught my eye. The guy said, "Well, I'm pretty good in Scout helicopters, except I can never use or figure out, the aiming HUD that it has." Well, I thought, then how can you call yourself good in a Scout helicopter? Being as it is, beside the point, I thought I'd go into a real quick tutorial on aiming, although again it should be pretty obvious to you already. Alright, so let's get to it. The HUDs on the Russian and the American Scout choppers in Battlefield 3 are pretty much identical, so the terms and explanations are pretty much interchangeable. There are two crosshairs on the gun sight. One is fixed and the other one is floating as the helicopter moves. Well, the fixed sight is bore sighted to the exact center of the helicopter's line of sight. So here I made it red. Incidentally, that's where your bullets will be hitting if you weren't moving, in any direction other than straight. If you are moving, however, many different forces will influence, the helicopter. So, say you are moving forward and a little bit sideways and down. So these are the blue arrows. Well, the fixed sight will point to wherever your nose is pointing, but the floating sight will take into account all the different speeds of the helicopter, let's say down, forward, and sideways, and output them all as one. So the final vector is yellow. This is your total velocity vector. Now, this is where your helicopter is flying, not necessarily where the bullets will be hitting, because you can be flying sideways or even ass forwards. So in reality, bullets will be hitting somewhere between the two sides, and it's your job to work out on the fly, as it were, where that is. This is especially hard at distances. Now, because the bullets are coming out of the guns and they have quite a bit of their own speed, they won't impact where the total velocity vector is pointing. So this means two things. That the slower you go, the closer the fixed sight is to your firing solution, and conversely, the faster you go, the closer the floating sight is to your firing solution. Now, I have been flying a few World War II fighter sims over the years, most notably the Il-2 Sturmovik, where, they didn't have guided missiles like you kids have today. everything was done manually. So toward the end of the war, they had the gyro-assisted K-14 gun sight, but before that, you were estimating the target's movements and aiming into his flight path. So he'd fly directly into your bullets. You never aim at where your target is right at this moment, because then you're just wasting ammo and making him laugh. He'll move at the time, and by the time your bullets reach him, you're screwed and you would have missed. So no, in my opinion, the best way to take out an enemy helicopter is to kill the pilot. So this has probably been true for any dogfight. I mean, you kill the pilot and that's it. Even if the plane is still intact, there won't be anyone actually firing back at you anymore. So now what this means is that the best way to attack a helicopter is from the front. Now there's a pretty good obvious problem with this. You attack from the front, and that's where his guns are. So he has a pretty clear shot at you. This is one of those situations where you hope he's a worse shot than you are. Of course, having a good squad mate or two inside the helicopter helps. At least one engineer to fix the damage, and let's face it, there will be damage. And maybe even a guy to man the laser co-pilot seat, which nobody seems to know how to do, to make short work of the helicopter. Now, the same guy can move from one seat to another and man the laser in between fixing the helicopter. But you better be a damn good pilot though, so he doesn't catch a bullet while hanging out the side and fixing the thing. I've always liked the scout helicopters in Battlefield 3, maybe even more than the attack helicopters. On the whole, I think the helicopter, especially one as small as the AH-6, is better than an airplane, because in a helicopter you can do anything. You can stop and turn on a dime, fly backwards or sideways. In fact, my little brother was flying with me the other day, and he was firing his javelin off the side. Well, to get him to line up his shot, I flew sideways. In fact, so he was flying forward and firing at the tanks below. So, it's always a pretty good setup to do it that way. Well, I think that's it for my tutorial. A special thanks to Caffeine Flumi for his free and awesome 3D Little Bird model. After playing around a bit with this thing, I'm starting to see that maybe this is what Threaty did in his Full Metal montages. Well, anyway, please rate this tutorial. It certainly wasn't easy to make, what with the 3D arrows and models and such. And I have been Crawlers, and as always, check out my other videos at the end of this one. Thanks.